Oh boy. Tennessee Titans fans, we have our first big free agent move of the free agent period for the Tennessee Titans. Dan Moore. Dan Moore, left tackle, been playing for the Steelers. The Titans have signed him to an $82 million contract. Let me just read you the brief details. $82 million deal that includes $50 million guaranteed, $30 million in year one, $50 million in the next 2 years. According to Adam Schefter, the Titans now have a new left tackle to protect the blind side of whoever plays quarterback. So here's a few things about this. What an overpay. I mean, what an overpay. And I know with the increased cap space and with just a lot of teams overpaying for players because they have no choice, it's risky, man. I just, this feels like just the next round of Dennis Daly, Andre Dillard, NPF. It just feels like the next contestant on The Price is Wrong. I hope I'm wrong though. But Dan Moore, that just sounds like a name that you are going to be screaming at your television this fall when the Titans give up their 7th sack of the game on 3rd and 6 in the third quarter, trailing by 10, and then they have to punt. You can just feel you're going to be sitting on your couch going up, Dan Moore. There's Dan Moore again. I hope I'm wrong. But all the reports are saying Dan Moore is left tackle. Dan Moore's a left tackle. Dan Moore's a left tackle. Dan Moore's going to be playing left tackle. So what does that tell you? That tells you that our old buddy J.C. Latham is likely moving to right tackle, which is what he played at the University of Alabama in college. So that whole year of playing left tackle for J.C. Latham, what a waste of time. You're moving to right tackle. This is not surprising because Brian Callahan alluded to at the Combine, and I think Mike Morganzi did too, that if it was necessary, they would be willing to move J.C. Latham to right tackle. Well, I guess it's necessary because from the looks of it, J.C. Latham's moving to right tackle, and Dan Moore is the new left tackle. Dan Moore is the new left tackle. I'm not even cutting that laughter out. I'm going to leave it in. I'm not even editing it out. Dan Moore's the new left tackle. So Moore, Skoronski, Cushenberry, right guard to be determined, right tackle J.C. Latham. Right guard could be Dylan Radins back, Will Freeze. Maybe there's something else Titans can do guard-wise here in free agency. Free agency just started. It's been madness. I'll tell you another thing this tells me. The Titans were having to use process of elimination in terms of the draft and what they were going to do. You had the big 4 needs: quarterback, wide receiver, edge rush, offensive tackle. You can't address all of it in the first 2 rounds. Well, now, for better or for worse, you can take offensive tackle off the list because they just addressed it. For better or for worse. Whether you think it was the right thing to do or not, they just addressed it. Dan Moore's going to be a starter. You don't sign a guy to an $82 million deal with $50 million guaranteed for him to come in and be a depth piece. Okay, he's going to be starting. So that would tell me that the Titans are not going to feel as inclined to take an offensive tackle. We knew they weren't going to take one in the first round, but now I don't think they're going to be inclined to take one in the second, or if they end up having a 3rd round pick, they're not going to be inclined to take one there either. I think they are going to now focus their attention on quarterback, edge rush, and wide receiver. I think you can eliminate offensive tackle off of the top concerns list in terms of the draft. What I think that means is that the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward with the first pick in the draft. That's where I'm leaning right now. We got over a month to go until the draft. It can always change. But I just feel like draft Cam Ward in the first round, trade back in the second and try to get a 3rd round pick. And then in the 2nd round, maybe you go wide receiver. 3rd round, you go edge rusher. You sign a veteran edge rush guy as well. You sign a veteran wide receiver. And now everything's been addressed as best it can be in this offseason is what I'm leaning toward. If the Titans don't draft Cam Ward, can I just tell you this right now? It's just time to have a heart-to-heart, okay? If the Titans don't draft Cam Ward, this is going to be a terrible season. It's going to be terrible because Titans ain't getting Aaron Rodgers. Titans ain't getting Russell Wilson. The Titans ain't getting Justin Fields. The Titans ain't getting Derek Carr. The Titans ain't getting Sam Darnold. Anybody that could come in and win them some games, they ain't doing it. Their name hadn't been attached to any of those guys. So if you don't draft Cam Ward, I hear you, bro. I hear you, dude. I ain't even going to stop you from barking. I get it. I get it. If the Titans don't draft Cam Ward, we're in for bad times. And nobody's in for bad times more than Brian Callahan, because he may as well start packing his bags. If you don't draft Cam Ward, you're either rolling with Will Levis again, or you're going and getting a backup level guy like what Mason Rudolph was last year to come in and compete with him. I've heard the name Mac Jones thrown out. I've heard the name Zach Wilson thrown out. Lord be with all of the mothers in Nashville if that happens. And I will just repeat what I said on my podcast today. If you have a quarterback room of Will Levis and Zach Wilson, this organization is going to reach levels of unseriousness that have never been seen before by human species. Brian Callahan may as well start packing his bags now, if that's the case. I think we are reaching a scenario where the Titans must draft Cam Ward. You must. You have to. You have to. I get Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, whatever. You got to draft. You need to stay put, and you need to draft Cam Ward. I mean, that's just where we're at right now. Because this organization already didn't have a pulse. And we're really struggling to find one now because we just paid Dan Moore $50 million guaranteed to come play left tackle for us. And I'm not saying Dan Moore's a bad, like, he had his best season that he's ever had in 2024. Great. I hope that Bill Callahan, he's only 26 years old. That's amazing. I mean, you know, as opposed to a guy like Morgan Moses, who ended up signing with the Patriots, who's 34, you know, this guy's young. He's 26. He just had his best year as a pro. I understand he gave up 13 sacks last year. That's not good. But he also had Justin Fields and Russell Wilson playing quarterback. They can contribute to that number two, just like Will Levis did in Nashville. Not all of those sacks were on NPF. A lot of them were, but not all of them were. Some of those you can attribute to Will Levis. Alls I know is the Titans just eliminated offensive tackle as a top-tier need for the draft, and I think that opens the door a little further for Cam Ward to be drafted. That's good news. Dan Moore, I'm very worried about this signing. I'm very worried about how much we're paying him. I'm very worried about how he's going to do. At left tackle, the most important position on the offensive line, left tackle, yikes. Let me know what you think. Are you encouraged, discouraged, happy, sad, angry, confused? Or are you buffering like X is today? Tighten up, everybody.